In our third part, looking at contradictions in the Qur'an, we will examine the treatment of non-Muslims in the community of Islam. The references will be posted in the description box. Since the Quranic surahs are not chronological, careful analysis is required as to which came first and the probable reasons behind them, as well as the end result regarding tolerance of other faiths. In the early Meccan ayahs, the message is one of toleration, and Muhammad is sent to warn only, and to claim that there is no compulsion in religion. The Quranic references for this are Surah 2, ayah 256, Surah 22, ayahs 49 to 50, and Surah 109, ayahs 4 to 6. The latter says this: "And I shall not worship that which you are worshipping, nor will you worship that which I worship. To you be your religion, and to me my religion." These ayahs are regarded as having been revealed to Muhammad while part of the Meccan community before the Hijra, and while the Muslim community was small. If this was all the Quran had to say on the subject of how Muslims should relate to non-Muslims, we could conclude that it teaches tolerance towards those of other faiths. However, this is not the case, because coercion, persecution, and even killing of non-Muslims under Islam is not only permissible, but encouraged. Indeed, we see that once settled in Medina, and when the community of Muslims became larger and stronger, Surah 2, ayahs 190 to 194 were revealed, apparently in the context of a defensive war, and when the Muslims are not allowed to freely practice their religion, since it states, "those who fight you." Hence, Yusuf Ali's assertion in his commentary that slaughter was permitted as the lesser of two evils. This is also implied by the expression, "for tumult and oppression are worse than slaughter." Hence, it becomes clear that if the Muslims are not given rights to freely exercise their faith, then the command to fight is given as a defensive measure. But please don't miss that while in Mecca, the Muslim community was in the same situation, yet no command to fight was given. This is why a small band of Muslims fled Mecca in the first place. So the Muslim community, including Muhammad, fled to Medina, and this marked the Hijra. Up to that point in the stream of Quranic revelation, there were no ayahs of fighting. So we see that the Quran contradicts itself on the subject of how to treat non-Muslims within the community of Islam. Next week, we will conclude our discussion on war and fighting in the Quran when we will look at the command for offensive wars, as found, for example, in Surah 2, ayahs 216 to 218. Meantime, I would like to leave you with a comparison between Islam and Christianity concerning how we are to live when we are not permitted to freely practice our faith. In Islam, it's clear that the command is given for a defensive war. However, this is not the case in Christianity. The Bible addresses serving in the military, both directly and indirectly, in the context of civic duty to country, and this in turn is consistent with the biblical worldview in general. However, believers in Jesus are strictly forbidden from using violence in an attempt to spread their faith. You can read about this in Matthew chapter 26, verses 52 to 54. Instead, Christians are to strive for peace with other believers, and they are not to resist the government. Instead, they are to submit to its laws. When speaking to Pilate, Jesus said that his followers are not of this world, and that if they were, they would take up arms and fight on his behalf. Peter, Jesus' disciple, had to learn this lesson the hard way. Please check out the links for both Bible references in the description. Indeed, Christianity was practically illegal for the first 3 centuries, yet it spread throughout the Roman Empire without any armed revolution. Next week, we will look at the case for offensive fighting in Islam, and we will ask the question, is there a contradiction in the Qur'an concerning this? Meantime, may God bless you, and may He lead you into all truth.